How to be a more loving being. Now, ultimately, what I mean by that is to be more loving towards ourselves, being more loving towards others, and being more loving towards people in general, towards all beings. I think this is what the world needs now more than ever to fully transform. If we want to actually live in a world where we have peace, we need to focus on this inner love that everyone has the capacity to cultivate. And I think people are starting to realize that this love is what we're ultimately missing in the world. Now, is this even possible to be more loving? And well, I believe yes, it actually is more possible to be more loving towards ourselves, to be more loving towards our friends and family, to people that we're neutral about, to even our enemies, people that are difficult dealing with, and even strangers as well, people that we're not even aware about. And not just people, but all beings. This includes other animals, the trees, plants, anything that is alive, anything that we share this beingness with. I believe there is a way to cultivate a more loving relationship with all beings. The question is how? Well, that's what I'm about to explain. For me, this is just one of the many ways that you can have a more loving attitude. I'm sure there's thousands of practices that you can do, but this is what's helped me in my journey to become a more loving being, or at least one of the tools or techniques that I use. Now, this practice is called Metta meditation or loving kindness meditation. Now, this technique has been taught for thousands of years. Initially seen in Hindu and Jain scripture, and then being later seen in Buddhist scripture. And I believe Buddhism popularized this technique a little bit more. Now, this meditation isn't difficult, it's pretty straightforward. So, if you're somebody that thinks meditation is unclear, a little bit vague, or you've tried meditation and you've struggled and you're not sure what you're doing, don't worry. I think this meditation is a little bit more clear on the instructions on how to do it, and so don't be discouraged. Okay, and now I'm going to read the primary purpose of the metta meditation. What I'm reading is something that comes up when you search up the purpose of metta meditation, and I think it does a good job at summarizing it. The primary purpose of metta meditation is to deliberately cultivate unconditional goodwill, friendliness, and compassion. Rooted in Buddhist traditions, it trains the mind to counter ill will, judgment, and self criticism by generating positive intentions for yourself and all living beings. The practice is meant to help you soften rigid emotional boundaries and transform your daily interactions. By systematically wishing well for various categories of beings, starting with yourself, then moving to loved ones, acquaintances, people you find difficult, and ultimately all living things, you achieve a sense of universal connection. So, yes, I know this sounds a little strange, but by doing this practice, you can cultivate literally, as it says here, unconditional goodwill, friendliness, and compassion. AKA, you can actually cultivate unconditional love for others, to be more positive, to wish well for others, to be at peace with others, to be more compassionate with others. And not just with others, but also with yourself. And this sort of unconditional love that I'm speaking about isn't something you have to force. It's not something that, it feels forced. This is about creating a natural, unconditional love for yourself and others. Again, you're cultivating it, you're developing it. And the more you practice, the more spontaneous and natural it will be for you to have that unconditional love for yourself and for others. So remember, nothing is forced. This is the core purpose of this practice. Now, it sounds strange that a meditation or a practice can have these sort of benefits, but at least from my personal experience, it's affected me in this way. So just try to keep an open mind if you're new to practicing this. Now, you may not feel anything directly, but if you stay consistent with this practice, you'll see results over time. Like anything else, the consistency is the key. If you're not consistent, you'll see no results. For example, just like the gym, you won't see muscle growth after just going a week to the gym. It takes a little bit of time and consistency with time in order to eventually see muscle growth. The same applies with this meditation. The growth is very subtle and very gradual. And what I mean by change, or that you won't see results, I mean long lasting results, a long lasting change within your way of being. I think after a meditation, your state of mind may change slightly. You may feel a little bit more positive, you may have these warmer feelings, you may feel more care for yourself and more compassion and care for others. But if you're not consistent, then this intention of care and love for others and for yourself may slip away. But the consistency makes it become a long lasting change to where you naturally become loving and it is your state of being. You're creating a habit of being, a habit of loving kindness. So it's still beneficial to do a meditation even if you're not consistent, but obviously the ideal goal is to be consistent and get that long lasting change of being. Now, what does this practice consist of? Well, it's actually a very simple practice. It consists of these basic phrases that you're going to recite in your mind. At first, these phrases are going to be directed toward yourself, and then slowly you're going to start expanding those phrases and directing it towards others. So, for example, it usually starts off with phrases like this. And keep in mind that different phrases are said, but in general, they all point at the same idea. So it goes, may I be safe, may I be happy, may I be healthy, may I be at peace. Now, all you're going to do is literally repeat that in your mind. So, may I be safe, may I be happy, may I be healthy, may I be at peace. May I be safe, may I be happy, may I be healthy, may I be at peace. And continue repeating it. And remember, you're not saying these phrases out loud, you're repeating them in your mind. You are just thinking these thoughts, trying to hold these intentions. You're staying quiet in the meditation and just saying it in your mind. And of course, you're doing this with your eyes closed. Now, the idea is not to force love, it is simply just about being open, reciting these phrases, and keeping your attention on these phrases. Keeping your mind on these phrases. Now, naturally, your mind is going to wander off. It's going to think, oh, I forgot to do that task. Or like, damn, some food sounds good right now. Or, oh, I have to text that person, etc. And all that stuff is okay. Simply go back to reciting the phrase and putting your attention on that. Your mind wandering and you returning back to the phrases is actually a part of the process. So don't be harsh on yourself. Don't be hard on yourself. Remember that that is the process itself. That is you literally training your mind to focus, stay in place, and stay in your intention. So just remember this. So remember to give yourself the permission to have this space for yourself and not to think or worry about anything else except the current practice you're doing. Now, after directing this phrase towards yourself, now you're going to direct it towards a loved one. Someone who you feel this love naturally towards. People who you are very close to, maybe. It can be a sibling, a parent, a close friend, grandma, grandpa, etc. And now the phrasing is going to switch to, may you be safe, may you be happy, may you be healthy, may you be at peace. Now, when you're doing this, try to keep an image of them in your mind, or maybe recall a memory of a good moment that you had with them. The whole idea is to just keep them in mind and directing those phrases towards them. So, whatever way you can sort of keep them in mind and recall this love that you can feel for them, that's kind of the whole point of it. Next, you're going to direct it towards a neutral person, sort of like a stranger, a neighbor, maybe that you're not so close to, or somebody you see, often at the gym that, again, you're neutral towards. You're going to direct it towards them. And it's still going to be, may you be safe, may you be happy, may you be healthy, may you be at peace. We're still saying that you, but it's going to be keeping this neutral person in mind. Now, the idea behind this is to expand our circle of love. So, it always starts within ourselves. So that's why we start with the I, may I be happy, may I be healthy, right? We start with ourselves, then we go to a loved one, we're extending that love. Then we're going to a neutral person, right? So now we're extending that to a neutral person. And this is sort of the progression that we go at in this practice. Next, after you direct your love towards a neutral person, now you're going to do it towards a difficult person, maybe even somebody you consider your enemy, someone who may get you mad or frustrated on a daily basis, somebody maybe who you may hold resentment towards. And so you will be doing the may you be happy, may you be healthy, may you be at peace, and directing it towards them. Now, if you find this hard to do and maybe a little bit of conflict within yourself, or you're not really sincere about it, then return back to directing it towards yourself. And we're doing this because ultimately you don't have enough love for yourself to be able to have that genuine love for that enemy. Because if we loved ourselves enough, we'd be able to extend that love and kindness towards even our enemies or the people that are really difficult to deal with. And this is important towards the practice because remember, we're trying to cultivate a loving attitude towards all beings. This includes beings that we may not like so much. And it's very easy to be loving towards people that we already know, that we love a lot. But sometimes it can be very difficult to have that loving attitude towards strangers or difficult people. But if we want to have more love in this world, I think this is a really important aspect of the practice. I think this is the missing gap that a lot of people have when it comes to love in general. It's the reason why countries go to war, right? It's because they don't have that love towards that other country. They see them as a stranger, as an enemy, and therefore, I don't love you. You are separate from me. And that's what allows that sort of mindset for them to go to war. Whereas if the countries had a more loving attitude, there would be no need to go to war because, well, they would recognize that shared beingness that we all share. Because at the end of the day, remember, we're just all beings. We all breathe in the same air. We all bleed the same blood. We're ultimately all one. And this practice is reminding us of this oneness that we all share and cultivating this loving attitude that ideally we should have for all beings. And finally, the last phrases that you're going to say is going to be directed towards all beings. Not just human beings, but animals, cats, dogs, birds, worms, etc. The plants, right? Because plants are beings too. Trees, right? Trees are alive. They're beings, even though they don't speak and look like humans. They're very much alive and being. We share the same aliveness with them. We share the same sun, the same air, the same food sources, etc. They are a part of us and we are a part of them. So it's important that we're loving towards them too because, well, they're their own being. They matter too. The same reason you would take care of a dog would be the same reason you would take care of a tree or a plant. And by not being loving towards other beings, then we're indirectly not being loving towards ourselves because everything is interconnected. So this last phrasing is going to be, may all beings be happy, may all beings be healthy, and may all beings be at peace. So the entire practice is going to be going from may I be happy, may I be healthy, etc. to may you be happy, may you be healthy, may you be at peace, to then may all beings be happy, may all beings be healthy, may all beings be at peace. And you're spending about a few minutes in each domain, a few minutes repeating that specific phrase in that domain. So a few minutes on the domain for yourself, a few minutes on the domain for the loved one, a few minutes on somebody who you find neutral, a few minutes on somebody you find difficult, and then eventually a few minutes on all beings. Again, not saying these phrases out loud, just repeating it in your mind, having these thoughts. And that's pretty much the whole practice. Remember, consistency is key. If you're completely new to meditating, I would say just start off with 5 minutes. I think almost everybody can find 5 minutes to practice this. And 5 minutes is enough. Just be open and focus in those 5 minutes. Again, give yourself the permission to have space for yourself and just focus on these 5 minutes without worrying or thinking about anything. Again, if your mind's going to naturally wander, and that's okay, that's part of the process, just go back to the practice. And try not to seek the results, try not to seek expectations, just be open and focus on the process. Do the meditation and just carry on with your day. If you have any warm feelings or positive energy, try to remain in that space. And if you can't remain in it, then just recall that energy that you had during the practice. And if you didn't feel any positive energy during the practice, then just try to remember that intention of being loving towards all beings. Over time, you'll have more spontaneous and natural moments of being loving towards yourself and towards other beings. Remember, this isn't about forcing the love. None of it is about forcing. Think about this practice more like planting a seed. You're just planting a seed and watering it little by little, day by day. The plant or the tree will naturally grow, but you just need to focus on planting the seed and watering it. Focus on the process itself. Focus on the maintenance of this seed that you're planting. Keeping the seed in conditions where it can grow and prosper. This is the whole idea behind this meditation, behind this practice. And that's basically the whole practice. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you guys took some value out of it. I appreciate you so much if you're watching up until this point. And yeah, I just wanted to make this little video just because, I've been doing this practice for a little bit now and it's honestly helped me a lot. And today I sort of tapped into this practice and I felt like sharing it because I thought it may be useful to somebody out there. And if you look up on YouTube, there's a bunch of guided meditations specifically for this practice. Just search up Metta meditation or loving kindness meditation and you'll have a ton pop up. I think guided meditation can be really useful, especially if you're starting out, and all you really have to do is just follow their instructions. A lot of them are around the 10-minute mark, but if you're not trying to do 10 minutes and rather do 5, just search up 5-minute meditation and some should pop up. And I'll also be leaving some links down below in the description of some guided meditations. So anyways, that's about it, guys. May you all be happy, may you all be healthy, may you all be at peace. Thanks for watching. I love you all and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.